There are multiple ways to keep in touch with the Wolf Connection podcast. Through our Instagram handle, the Wolf Connection Pod, and for comments and questions, send us an email to podcast@wolfconnection.org with your comments, questions, and guest ideas for Stephen and myself. You may hear your question answered on an upcoming podcast. Thank you for your support, and howls to you all. Welcome to the Wolf Connection podcast. I'm your host, John Kalfa. Let's talk about some wolves. So, podcast is on the road. We're at the International Wolf Symposium, and Bridgett VonHoldt has been wonderful to join me and bring a couple of guests with her. So, Bridgett and Kristin and Joseph or Joe? What do you want to go with? Joe? Oh, Joey. Okay. So, you guys just introduce yourselves a little bit. Bridgett, I know you've been on with me and Stephen before. So, just go through how you guys are doing here at the symposium. I know, Bridgett, you're presenting. I think you guys are also Joey and Kristin. So just go through what you guys are up to and what's going on. So, Bridgett, if you want to start, or Kristin, you want to start?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll start.
Yeah,
I'm Bridgett. It's great to be back.
Yeah.
Now in person.
I know, this is the best.
So this is like a very different feeling. It's so weird to not just see you on Zoom and do this.
I know.
This is my first International Wolf Symposium.
Same.
And I've heard all about it. And it feels like someone said a family reunion. It's so weird to see people that I've worked with for years, and I haven't seen them in years, but now different areas of my life seem to be merging. So red wolves as the people sitting next to me, gray wolves, and just beyond. So it's great. And I'm presenting tomorrow morning on ghost alleles in Louisiana and Texas.
Yeah, so the stuff that we talked about, everybody's going to be able to hear here, which is going to be awesome.
In like 15 minutes, I'll cram it into.
I don't know how that's going to happen.
Oh, we'll
I mean,
see.
I've noticed that. I'm sure you guys have too, where I feel like the speakers are rushed and they have 20 minutes and like, this is the introduction, this is the topic, and then the conclusion. I'm like,
and
okay.
then they get the little flag of like 1 minute left, and everyone's like, wait, I have more.
Exactly. Well, you're all prepped now, so now you know the deal, and you can just squeeze it all and cram.
Perfect.
Yeah, Kristin, go ahead. Yeah, tell everybody,
Yeah. I'm Kristin Brzeski. I am an assistant professor at Michigan Technological University. This is also my first International Wolf Symposium. It has been a blast so far. Similar to Bridgett, just seeing people from agencies, seeing some academics, seeing people from NGOs and the conservation world and education, all of it together has been a really different dynamic audience that's been fun and a little bit more lighthearted than maybe your like hardcore science conferences, which has been really nice. I just presented 30 minutes ago, and also got the 3-minute warning while I was still in my method section of my talk, which is I'm normally pretty good about that. So I don't know if it's something about the audience. It feels like conversational, and you're just ready to chat, and you're like, oh, I've been chatting and not actually talking about the science I was supposed to be talking about. And I presented on work that I do in collaboration with Bridgett and others on red wolf genetics. So talking about the genetic variation and inbreeding and hybridization of the wild red wolves in North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, how was that received? And Joey, we'll get to you in just a sec. How was that received? How did you feel that the session was going, and people were they responsive and giving you information? What do you think? How was it going?
I think it was really well received. Other than again, probably rushing through important sections of it. The audience that came up afterwards and asked questions were just really positive, and a lot of really great young women talking about how they want to do this, and this is really great, and how do you get to that professional, my professional career. And it was kind of mentoring-ish questions, which was really nice. I really liked that. And it just, really, really positive, which is good, because I was a little worried at a symposium like this. It's very broad. People would shy away from anything with genetics in the title. Right. Which I should have reflected upon and not put genetics in the title of my talk. And I felt that it was accessible. I hope it was accessible to the broader audience.
I mean, just looking at it, Bridgett, you've been shout out a couple times. Kristin, I think you've been shout out a couple of times. It really seems like there's this, and we've spoken to Ellen Brandel on the podcast. It really seems like this, especially obviously with the red wolf and the coyote and everything that's coming back into the forefront, that really this geneticist, microbiology, all of these things are really coming more back to the forefront, it seems, and people are incredibly interested in it. And it must be exciting for you all as a group to be able to bring that science to them.
Absolutely. I think it's not only is it coming back, it's coming back positively. I feel like sometimes in the past, people viewed genetics as, too difficult to understand or tainting the ecology or the behavior or maybe it's trying to make the definitive answer about something, particularly these complicated questions of species differences and things like that. And now I feel like it's like, what a great piece of this broader puzzle. And it's a lot of interest in that and combining it with the ecology Joey will get into and the behavior and some of the, the other components, the kind of holistic components, and then communicating it to a broader audience, I think has been more of an effort in the genetic molecular biologist community in the last 10 years. And I think maybe you're seeing that by that kind of reception.
Yeah, it's really been great. And Joe, let's meet Joey, because I know you're on the end. And this is great. We got a 3-person, so it's working out well. So go ahead, Joey.
Yep. Hi, I'm Joey Hinton. I'm the senior research scientist with the Wolf Conservation Center and a collaborator with Bridgett and Kristin here.
And so
And this is my first Wolf Symposium myself. And
what's it been like for you? What's the first time been like? Everybody seems to be.
It's the same as Bridgett and Kristin. It's pretty neat to see all the collaborators, but there's also some well-known wolf ecologists who I sort of grew up reading on, from my undergrad, master's, and PhD that I've never met, and here I am seeing them for the first time. So I'm putting faces and voices to names on papers that I've read and cited in the past. So that's been pretty exciting.
What's been the biggest person that you've met that you just got excited about, and you're like, I read this paper and now I get to finally meet a new person? Who was that?
Well, honestly, it was Blair Van Valkenburg.
Blair, yeah.
So her papers, along with like Ron Nowak. Ron Nowak's not here, but some of the more paleontological papers that I read as an undergrad that sort of influenced my interest in linking morphology with the ecology to explain why these animals might be behaving the way they do. It was pretty exciting, like I said, to see. So I would say Blair, the first one comes to mind.
Awesome.
I would recommend her for a podcast. Blair Van Valkenburg.
It just sounds like a great name. Blair, we're going to share this up. Blair Van Valkenburg. All right, go ahead. Tell me, Bridgett.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even really know what to call her other than awesome. She studies everything from paleo, biomechanics, and felids and canids, all the way up through dentition and tooth wear in contemporary animals and how this impacts ecology and everything we know about them. Mm-hmm. She is married to my PhD advisor. So I knew her from UCLA, but she's fantastic. So I'll try to hook you two up and schedule something if you're interested.
Bridget's basically going to become my assistant, I think, from now. She's going to help me get podcast guests.
I want you to meet all my friends.
Yes, I love it. It's so funny because when Bridget and I were emailing prior to this, she goes, I'm going to be hanging out with the crew. And she listed everybody. And I'm like, I can't wait to meet the crew because I've interviewed some of the crew and I've interviewed. It was just great. What was Kristin? You were saying Joey was going to go off on something. What was that? I can't remember. Where were we?
Ecology?
The
ecology. Yeah.
Yeah. So I present tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah, and so my talk is basically discussing conditions that facilitate hybridization between red wolves and coyotes in the field, and sort of mating. How do wolves maintain, breed true to, with other wolves. And that's specific to North Carolina, but it's also a question that we're trying to address in the Gulf Coast because, as you know already, we went down there and sampled a bunch of animals, and we have high red wolf ancestry in those populations. And the question is, with no management, how is that ancestry being retained? Unless similar animals are looking for other similar typed animals and pair bonding with them and breeding with them. And then looking at how that, as far as the Gulf Coast Project, how that ancestry influences their ecology. I won't get into that tomorrow, but this is more North Carolina with red wolves and coyotes and management up there. But
yeah. What's it like for you working in this field and doing that work, and to see it being, like I was asking Kristin and Bridgett, just to see this work really coming out to everybody here, not only at Symposium, but it really just seems it's gaining traction nationally and obviously a little bit globally now with all the people that are here.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. When I started as an intern in 2002, not many people knew what a red wolf was. Even within our field, you talk to other professionals, and they're like, "Where's a red wolf at? I didn't know about this thing." And then here we are, basically 20 years later, and like we get people contacting us periodically, like, "I think my dog's got red wolf in it. Do you want something from it?" And that was unheard of 20 years ago. In fact, my wife, she's with Wildlife Services in New Jersey. She got a call. Someone thought a red wolf was running across Rutgers campus, in New Jersey. And Jess was like, "No, there's no red wolves out there."
What was it?
It was a coyote.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
they
thought it was maybe a red fox and thought it's red. Maybe it's a red wolf. It was a coyote.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe it was a coyote. Yeah.
Wow. Bridgett, what is it like with you all here? What's having this group, this pack with you? Seriously, like what's it like? Because you guys, I just see all these different, everybody's not really a clique. It's just everybody can just so weave themselves in and out of it. And like, what's it like for you? I mean, you're all first,
Yeah.
I mean, we're all first timers actually.
Right.
I mean, just to be here and physically see that and be able to just sort of go in and out of different groups and different people.
I was thinking about this because in the age of COVID and everything being Zoom, it is really easy to make contact with people, but we lose so much of that interpersonal interaction and seeing a face and facial expressions and body language, just as wolves use a lot of that too to interact and coyotes, that it feels really great, I think, to be able, like Kristin said in the beginning of her talk, like we get to just dive into chats about wolves and coyotes without having to set a big stage. We're already at that, we're amongst the same like-minded people. And to apply those ideas to either Mexican wolves or gray wolves or red wolves, it's so great to make those connections. It's also really curious because I see like two of my friends, they come over and they already know each other. And I'm like, how do you guys know each other? And it's like, oh, we went to Michigan Tech together a long time ago. And now they're both doing something different. And like, I just always forget how small of a world it is. But we're all going towards the same goal, both knowledge, research, and conservation in the end of it. Like, how do we coexist?
Right.
So I don't know if that answers it, but
no, it does.
It feels very great to have everyone and to be able to have these mentor kind of interactions. Hearing yesterday in that student mentor session, I just walked in on like part of it, and the audience people were asking, how can I get to your position? How can I make a difference? And everyone has a very different path. And I think that's really an amazing thing about this job. But it's very frustrating because you can't just give a recipe to someone.
Right.
So it's nice to be able to be here and have such a diversity of where we come from, how we get here, and what we do. Because none of us are actually doing an identical job from each other.
Right.
We all have very different impacts.
Yeah.
So I like that too.
Absolutely. Kristin, like I want to expand on that too, because you were saying that before, and just what's that like to get those reactions? And like you said, you had a lot of younger, I guess you said younger people coming up to you. When you're in a field like this, what does that bring out for you as a scientist? To be able to see that.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's so complimentary, like it makes you feel really good. But outside of that, like initial selfish response, it's really encouraging to see how across many generations, and you see many generations of people here, which is another really great aspect of the symposium, like Joey saying, like, these people he was reading 20 years ago as an undergrad, right? And now seeing them here and I guess kind of matriculating through a little bit and now being at like a little bit more of a mature stage and working with like the next generation is like really encouraging and it really positive. And it feels good after not interacting with students for a long time or other colleagues for a long time outside of your close circles from, the whole COVID set everything back so much and the interpersonal interactions outside of your close circle, I think. And being able to now interact with people and get that kind of encouragement both directions it felt really good and feels positive. Everything feels really positive for the future. Like, wolves are going to make it.
Yeah, no,
Red wolves are going to make it,
I know, like Kim Wheeler, who was saying, what do you mean you're sorry about red wolves? Like, they're doing great, and we're all here, and they're going to keep doing great. And
look at all these people that
optimism.
care. And thinking of that, there's no one roadmap to get to some type of position you might want, whatever that is. But I think the key ingredient, and it's super cliche, but I think probably really true, is just like passion. Like, I didn't set out being like, I'm going to study this. It was like, well, this is interesting. Oh man, I'm going to just give it all my all for 5 years. Well, now this is really interesting. Now I'm going to give that my all. And then this is where you land,
Right.
And so I think that is evident with the people here across the disciplines and organizations of the audience here. It's like that kind of passion. Even like, things I totally disagree with. It's still like there's passion, and that's really fun.
That's all we need. I mean, you need that. You need passion in all that stuff. And I think it's to try and take it all in. And I was saying this to a couple people. I think I eventually said it to Bridgett. I was like, I was a little bit slow in the beginning, like this morning, and then I like hit a second wind when we were literally going through the rooms. So it's just interesting how that goes. Joey, I want to ask you, because the journey for you for 20 years, what's it been like for you to get to this point, and how do you see the future of the research and the hard work you've put in? And again, it seems like you haven't hit the crescendo yet. It's really like it's still going up, and there's still a lot of things happening.
For me, I think it's a lot of like luck and the right timing to get in.
There's skills.
Yeah.
Don't undersell yourself.
Bridget and Kristin are like, you have skills, Joe. Come on, Joey.
You got it. You got something.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, what kept me like going is the field work. I was offered a tenure track job. I turned it down for the research position with the Wolf Conservation Center because it gives me a chance to go in the field and continue doing the field work. The field work is what keeps me motivated, and it wasn't something I was ready to hand off to grad students. Not to sound harsh in a way like that, but I still had that, like, I still want to do that. My back's still good, my knees are still there, so
yeah,
I can keep going. And so that's what I've been with the Gulf Coast Project. It gives me that opportunity and doing that kind of stuff. And so that's part of the motivation. I don't know. I just like the research and having collaborators now is very useful. The Red Wolf stuff has been pretty lonely as someone who started out as a intern and then a master's student. I was a master's student at Rice. My lab was basically tallow trees and fungi.
Keep talking.
Taking photos.
Yeah.
And then I went over to started at LSU with the PhD project, and Kristin was going to join, but then my advisor Chamberlain took a faculty position at UGA, and I transferred. And then Kristin went to LSU, and then we just couldn't match up. And so I just felt like always working in this.
You're always going to be by yourself.
always until now we have this great, group right here that's doing this Red Wolf research. And it's a lot of fun because, one, it works both ways. If I have some ideas that are bad, now these guys keep me in check. But it's the other way around. If I feel like
us in check.
it's the other way. It's the other way around too. Maybe I have an idea that I think is not a good idea, and I run it by them, and they're like, "No, that's a great idea. We weren't even thinking that." And I was like, "All right, I'm worth something. I'm bringing something to the table."
You're doing.
This is like the greatest group.
Yeah. So
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I mean, I would say that there are two great groups that I've worked with. I mean, everyone is really great, but like
there's two out of the many.
There's two out of the many that have a deep resonance with me, and working with Yellowstone, they're phenomenal. But I didn't create that group. I was brought in by Bob Wayne as my PhD advisor, and I've stayed on, and they're amazing. But now this is a creation of us, Kristin, Joey, myself, and the people that we work with, the communities we get to interact with. I think like this is amazing. I just can't even put it into words.
No, I
love these two people so much, and we get to do so much cool work, and we have such different ways in which we contribute. And I think this is the epitome of doing not only science, but conservation science, where all of our different expertise, like Joey said, we can check each other, remember that there's different perspectives, and we're each contributing something.
Yeah.
And I find that amazing because you're never going to do something as a single person, only yourself in science, especially conservation science.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I think it's good. And it's,
I feel
like you said, it's the
microphone
cliche.
from Joey.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, this is, listen, we've done 3-person Zooms, and this is the first 3-person. I only brought one mic. So it is what it is, everybody out there, for a one-man band. Kristin, for you, because I know, again, we're, just so you all know, so these are going to be abbreviated just because we're all going a million different directions. Just the future of the research, how do you feel with everything that's going on? And then, what's the next steps? I know Joey was leading into it. Where do you see it going from here?
Yeah, I see a couple things. One is really diving into the ecology. So pairing the ecology of these animals along the Gulf Coast that we're getting all this amazing genomic information about, and assessing their red wolf ancestry, both what matches the current red wolves in the captive breeding population, but then all that undiscovered ghost genetic variation. Is pairing that with their ecology, their behavior, their space, their reproductive success, how sensitive they are to, habitat change, gunshot mortality, these things that are critical to understand how red wolves persevere in the wild and hopefully, recover in North Carolina. And that's really interesting because it has this great ecological evolutionary importance of understanding how admixture and integration then shapes a distinct lineage and what that means for the broader ecosystem through trophic interactions of the ecology of the animal. But then it has this even, equally important actual applied conservation ability of how red wolf are they? What does that mean for if we brought red wolves there? Like, is this a new population? Is this going to be a new propagation site? Using that really exciting, interesting science to then take it to the people, the policymakers, the people that make those decisions and help guide the next step of red wolf reintroductions and red wolf recovery in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And it's just good to see, like I said, all of the different work and the work that you guys are doing. And I can't wait to, and Chris, I'm sorry, I missed your talk.
What?
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
I mean, really.
I
invited her on.
5 concurrent sessions, and
yeah, I know.
You
really?
Can't. Some of the talks are scheduled. All the talks I want to attend are in the same 20-minute block tomorrow, and
yeah, it just doesn't.
How can we do this?
You didn't come to the one that said something about genomics. like what was I thinking?
I can say. Yeah, it's a lot. I'm gonna post a schedule so all of you can really understand how this really went down here. So whoever wants to answer this one, and then I'll ask the last question, then we'll be wrapped. Is where are the places that they can find the research that's continuing? Because I know, Bridgett, you gave us a lot of great places for it. But again, anybody, Joey or Kristin, if you guys have other avenues of where they can find it, websites, things like that. So, and if you want to bring that,
what do you mean by find research?
Websites?
Like
our research?
Yeah, like your research, like your guys' individual research that's happening here. Or what's going on?
Okay, well, we have for the Gulf Coast Project, we have a website.
Okay.
The GulfCoastProject.com /
Joey just got the mic taken away. Kristin's going to take over.
It away. It's Gulf Coast Canine Project.
Gulf Coast Canine Project. Yes.
.org.
As she's trying to figure it out as we go from there.
.org.
.org.
Yeah.
.org. All right, so GulfCoastProject.org.
Gulf Coast Canine Project.
Gulf Coast Canine
Why
Project.
did we make it so long?
Don't you know, couple of words and go from there. You know what I mean? That's how. Bridgett has the phone.
.org. GulfCoastCanineProject.org.
Awesome.
And the canine is spelled out CANINE, not KN.
Not KN.
K9.
Not K9. Okay, got it.
But K9.
By K9, yes.
Can't you tell?
I can't tell.
Over the podcast, can't you tell?
I can tell.
And to be fair, I think Gulf Coast Project was already taken.
Probably.
And so we had, that's why it's
that makes
so long.
sense. No.
I guess we have, and then we have our individual websites.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mine's just joeyhinton.com, and I have all my papers and research statement and stuff there. So I don't think I've updated it since I was doing like faculty, like applying for faculty positions. So
But you must be on the wolf conservation website, right?
Yeah, there's a little blurb about me and I staff there. So, the Wolf
He's at the Wolf Conservation Center, everybody.
Bridgett is absolutely taking over that. I love it. She's like, we have the director of like movements right now. Go ahead, Kristin.
Yeah, well, you can find me also at breskilab.com.
Brzeski Lab.
Yeah.
And do you guys have socials that anybody can, is there, Kristen's like, no, she just gave me the eye roll. But no.
No, I it wasn't eye rolls. Like, oh, I know I'm so bad. It's like, yeah, I don't have social media presence.
No, it's fine. I mean, listen, and this is the thing. I'm going to get all the websites from you guys throughout the conference. This way I can put them in the description. So when this all goes in,
Joey has social.
Oh, Joey has social. What do you got?
I got a Twitter account.
There you go. Twitter's good.
It's just Joey Hinton 22. I think at Joey Hinton 22.
At Joey Hinton 22.
Whatever you
The
put it.
one Twitter account between the three of us.
Oh my goodness, I swear. So I'm going to ask the last question that it's specifically for Joey and Kristin because Bridget's already
answered it.
Bridget's already answered this
right.
one. So we'll start with Joey first. And this is the thing we ask everybody here on the podcast is when you hear the word wolf, what is the thing that comes to your mind?
I think projection. I think people project whatever they're feeling at that moment onto the animal, whatever their philosophy in life is. Or I don't know. I mean, for me, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot going on right now when I think about them. It's hard to put words on that feeling right now, but yeah. I mean, when I have down days, I'll think about the red wolves and I'll project those feelings on those animals, and I can connect with them because they're going through some terrible stuff right now. Other times when I feel like I'm being lifted up and I'm having some good progress in my life, I look at their numbers increase and I feel like, there's some connection there. So a lot of times, and I see that in the field working with landowners and stuff like that, a lot of times their fears with how culture is changing and whatnot, they'll slap that on the wolf. Sometimes some of the issues in North Carolina, a lot of times had nothing to do with the wolves. They were just pissed off about something and they wanted to lash out at the government. And so here's this critter on their property and they knew they could use that for leverage. And so they did at times. And then you work it out with them and, things are fine. So, I think a lot of times it's just like when I think about wolves, I just think they're just like a sounding board, I guess, or something that you can project, your own feelings onto or whatever. So
I love that. Can I change my answer?
You cannot. It's already in the
I
record.
don't even know what I said. I'm sorry.
You can answer it. No, you can answer it again.
I am. And I'll finish. That was the
Joey's complete. So Kristin, so last Kristin.
That's hard to follow. That was so like deep and meaningful. I don't apologize. It's beautiful, Joey. Joey's like, oh, sorry. Man, at first I was like, work, because it's like it is, because and it's our work and it encompasses it. But I think then a second reflection was I think hope. I think it's like the ultimate comeback story, particularly with the red wolves. They are the consistent underdog, and then they keep coming back, And I think I really feel like it is kind of this upswing, and so for me, it's kind of like it's hopeful, and that underdog coming back for the win, hopefully.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you, three, for coming up, spending just a few minutes. I appreciate you guys. I know you guys are busy and doing everything, so we're going to have all the descriptions, everything there. So Kristin, Bridgett, Joey, thank you guys so much. Hal Steele out there, and hopefully we'll have more for the symposium later on. Bye, everybody. Looking to support Wolf Connection or sponsor one of the wolves in our pack? Just go to wolfconnection.org, click on the Donate tab, and find out more information.